everyone, Beth Sig from the Beth Sig Group, and today we're talking to Craig Sandler, who's been in town 7 years, almost 8.
Right?
Right?
Yep.
And he
Hey,
lives
Beth.
in this beautiful antique home. He has his own plaque, but we're here to talk about the Historic Society.
Exactly.
So, obviously, you like history. So tell
right.
me how you got involved. Tell
All
me a
right.
little about it.
Sure. And just on the subject of the house, I think it's the oldest house in East Lexington. And
Nice.
I started there really knowing that I was moving into this house. You know, I started doing the research and really started sitting in the house, feeling the history vibes. And I also figured that particularly because I was moving in here and given where I was moving, the people that I'd make my first friendships with would probably be involved in the history of the town. So I basically just signed up for their newsletter and kept my eye on the Historical Society and started going to Historical Society events. And it was not long at all before I started making those friendships.
Nice.
Right, so it was one event after another, one sort of acquaintance, and then a few friends after another from the society. And it wasn't too long before somebody or other in the leadership said, we're forming actually a marketing committee, right, because I'm a communicator, I'm a journalist. We're forming a marketing committee, you want to be on that committee. And that was really kind of their way, right, of getting, of reeling new history-loving people in.
Okay.
And that worked very well. You know, the former president invited me to sit at the table of the gala, and Martha and I went and did that, and that was, you know, flattering and also, genuinely rewarding.
Right.
So, as they say, now I'm on the committee, and I'm meeting more people, and got involved through both the social and intellectual aspect of what the society does.
So what does the society do?
Well, the most important thing, of course, is act as the steward for the unique, history, research, archives of Lexington. This is where the journals of Jonas Clark are kept. The Reverend, who was really the conscience of the Revolution, wrote the important speeches, wrote the inscription on the obelisk on the green. That's the possession of the Historical Society. Also, I didn't realize this when I moved to town at all, but the Monroe Tavern, the Buckman Tavern, and the Hancock Clark houses are 3 most important treasures. Those belong to the Historical Society. They run them, they maintain them, and they maintain them for posterity, forever. That's probably really their most important mission. Then the other thing is interpretation of events. We put on events that recreate the most important happenings of Lexington in the Revolution. But of course, it's also not just the Revolution. If you go to the CVS, you walk by the CVS windows, you'll see a commemoration of the centenary of the women getting the right to vote in Massachusetts, in America, and obviously in Lexington. That's the Historical Society's work too. So trains, education, voting, women, medicine, and the Revolution.
Okay.
That's what the society concerns itself with, that has to do with Lexington.
Okay. And if you lived here and wanted to be involved, what do you think is a gateway to being involved?
I'd say probably just social media and
Yeah.
signing up for the email newsletter. And after that, it's quick. I would basically follow the same path that I took, which is sign up for the newsletter, follow the resources on social media, and then show up for an event or two and see who's there. And it won't be long before you're making friends the same way I did.
Okay. And do they have regular meetings and stuff as well, or is that closed? Is it?
It's it's really an event-driven organization more than a meeting of the membership month by month. The members tend to mingle and see each other at events per se.
Okay.
Frankly, that's one of the things that I'd like to work on going forward. In fact, I'm talking about that a lot in the marketing committee now. 100 years ago, the society had those sessions, where people would present, here's a little research I did on the Vine Brook. That doesn't happen anymore, and that's the next thing I'd like to do.
Okay.
But the fact is, it is the case that the history-minded people in Lexington tend to go to most of the event. So you do get a sense of the usual suspects, as well as people from the surrounding town, and then of course tourists from across the country. But it's also a core group that doesn't have membership meetings per se, but does attend these events as they occur.
So Patriots Day, all of those events, that's Historical Society. Reenactments of the battle, Paul Revere coming up the street, all the fun things that make you really love living here, make me really love living here.
Right.
That's all Historical Society, or?
Actually, I'll say no. That the reenactment per se is the purview of the Lexington Minutemen,
Okay.
which is probably another good group for you to interact with and research, and also another thing that people coming to Lexington can be involved in.
Okay.
And the Minutemen actually staged the reenactment. There was a time 30, 40 years ago when there was no reenactment. There was a core group of Minutemen who said, you know, we can't have this. We should stage it.
Okay.
That's where the reenactment began in Lexington. And what the society does is, as you can imagine, we're all over the reenactment, but we tend to center our events that day on the three houses, the three museums.
Okay.
So that the Hancock Clark House is the destination of Paul Revere that night.
Right.
And so we have plenty of stuff going on there. The Buckman Tavern is where the Minutemen gathered and listened to the intelligence that was coming from around the countryside as the British marched out from Boston. And then Monroe Tavern is wonderful on Mass Ave in that it was the field headquarters for the British, and it's interpreted kind of in a very British way. You learn a lot about the other side. But of course in Lexington, the other side, from a British point of view, gets a lot fuzzier than you realize, because the question is raised, who were the real patriots that day? The British soldiers were simply doing their duty to their country. And we were all British that day.
Right.
So it gets actually quite enjoyably and thrillingly interpreted at Monroe. And we do a lot of that on Patriots Day.
So, tell me your favorite part.
Of the whole scene, of the society.
Living here, the whole
Well,
historic society.
I would say that probably my favorite part of the society is the enthusiasm of both the volunteers, which by the way is another good way to get involved. If you know, there's greeters at the houses where the people from Illinois come in and somebody friendly is sitting at the desk and says, welcome to the Monroe Tavern.
Okay.
You can get trained to be a guide where you don't just show up and wing it. You get carefully trained in knowing exactly what the accurate description of the objects and rooms and building is and are. Lots of ways to volunteer. The enthusiasm of the volunteers and of the members and of the unbelievable staff is my favorite thing. And my other favorite thing is dressing up as Reverend Jonas Clark and holding forth on events like the tea burning in December, which reenacts the burning of the tea and the build up to the tea party.
Nice.
So I do get to be in my frock coat saying, yeah, in life itself, in pursuit of the common cause. And obviously, that's a very Lexingtonian thing to do.
Okay. Do you think if you hadn't moved into a historic house, this would have grabbed you? Was it always?
I bet you it would have anyway.
Okay.
I don't think it has very much, frankly, to do. There was a natural connection. It was easier for me. I mean, what was going through my mind was, new town, I want some new friends.
Right.
I've got this house, so there's an automatic conversation starter.
Right.
So it was really easy to do that. But no, I mean, I think that people of all backgrounds, that's another focus that we have now, right? Obviously, it's a really diverse community. I think there really is room for everybody in that society. In my case, the house was such an easy place, you know.
Well, thank you for your time. This was fun. It was nice to see you.